Alright, folks, let's listen to another story about some another shady motherfucker. And, we're diving into the wild, weird, and wonderful crook tale of Charles Ponzi, the man who turned postage stamps into a multi-million dollar illusion and gave birth to the scam that still bears his name, the Ponzi scheme. So buckle up because this guy's life was like a financial thriller, written by a caffeinated screenwriter with a flair for chaos. So, from $2.5 to $1 million dreams, Charles Ponzi wasn't born a scammer, he was born Carlo Pietro Giovanni Guglielmo Tebaldo Ponzi. Holy fuck, such a long name. Try fitting that on a business card on Lugio, Italy in 1882. So he came to America in 1903 with, 2.5 bucks in his pocket and $1 million in hopes, as he famously said. And honestly, that quote slaps. It's kind of optimism that makes you want to root for the guy until he rubs you blind. He bounced around jobs, dishwasher, waiters, sign painter, and even spent time in prison for forging a check in Canada. But hey, everyone needs a hobby, right? The next, let's say, chapter, the brilliant idea, so-called brilliant. Fast forward to 1919. Ponzi is sitting in a tiny Boston office when he receives a letter from Spain with something called an international reply coupon (IRC), basically a prepared postage voucher. Ponzi has a light bulb moment. Wait a minute, I can buy this cheap in Europe and redeem them for more expensive US stamps? That's arbitrage, baby. So in theory it was legal, in reality it was logistically bonkers. You would need, warehouses full of coupons and an army of stamp lickers to make it work. But Ponzi didn't let reality ruin a good story. So, the next scene, the scam that sparkled. So he launched the securities exchange company and promised investors like 50% returns in 45 days. That's not a red flag, that's a red parade. But people lined up around the block. Why? Because early investors did get paid with money from never investors. Sorry, from newer investors. Classic, so-called rob Peter to pay Paul setup. At his peak, Ponzi was making 250K a day. He bought a mansion, wore a fancy suit, and strutted around Boston like a financial peacock. Even banks and priests invested. One guy sold his house to get in on the auction. Spoiler, it's a bad move. The next scene, the crack begin to show. Enter Clarence Barron, a financial journalist who smelled something fishy, and it was not the clam chowder. Barron discovered Ponzi wasn't investing in IRCS at all. In fact, the number of coupons needed to justify the profits would have exceeded the global supply, like, by a lot. The Boston Post ran roses. The government got involved, and just like that, the house of cards collapsed. Ponzi was arrested in August 1920. Turns out he owed $7 million and had only $4 million in assets. Oops, sounds like a, U.S. debt deficit. So, next thing we know, prison deportation and a humble ending. So Ponzi served time for mail fraud, then he got hit with state charges. After bouncing between prisons, he was deported to Italy in 1934. He later moved to Brazil, worked as a translator, and died in poverty in 1949. His final years were a far cry from the champagne days of 1920. But here's the kicker. Ponzi reportedly said even if they never got anything for it, it was cheap at that price. Without malice, I had given them the best show ever staged. Now that's a conman, with a showbiz flair. Uh, Legacy of a legend, sort of today. Ponzi schemes financial shorthand for so-called run from Baron Madoff to crypto scams. His blueprint lives on, and as you can see, even like these kind of schemes called to his name. But Charles Ponzi wasn't just a fraud, he was a storyteller, a salesman, and a cautionary tale wrapped in a three-piece suit. So next time someone, promise you 100% returns in 90 days, smile politely, clutch your wallet, and remember, Ponzi walked so modern scammers could run. So, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and avoid shady investment pitches. So, catch you next time.